Hi everyone, Aaron Habicht with Optimum Realty right here in Regina. This is part 7 of my 10-part home buying series. Special guest today, one of the home inspectors I use for many of my home inspections, Ryan Spriggs from Spriggs Inspections. Ryan, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to see you. COVID, obviously, we don't see much of each other these days. We kind of come and go and try to keep safe, I guess.
Yeah, and it's all about minimizing your contact list.
Isn't that the truth? Anyway, Ryan, I just want to jump in here. What's your background in terms of home inspections? Where did you start? What kind of made you decide to become a home inspector?
Well, I started as an architectural technologist from the design side. Didn't last long sitting at a desk. Went into building inspections. So I worked for a company that did building official duties for small towns and RMs. Did that for about 4.5 years. Then got into home inspections, something a little bit more local. Been doing this now for about 17 years, with 7 of those years as the owner and operator of my own company.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize you were in it for 17 years. That's the exact amount of time I've been selling real estate as well. So we touched on COVID briefly a minute ago. What kind of protocols do you use right now to make sure you're safe, the sellers are safe, and obviously when you're meeting with your buyers that they remain safe too?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually required in the Saskatchewan health guidelines that when I'm in a home, I'm masked the whole time I'm there, whether it's occupied or not. So that's definitely a rule that I take very seriously. It's just making sure, because I am in contact with doorknobs, light switches, thermostats, that I'm constantly washing my hands to protect myself, because if I can protect myself, I can protect my clients there. For the walkthroughs, when a client comes to meet with me to go through the house and through the inspection, we definitely strongly encourage sellers not to be present, even for the whole inspection. Again, it's about minimizing that close contact list and keeping as many people as you can off it.
Mm-hmm.
We're also strongly discouraging friends and family coming for this particular process, unless that family member can provide a real valuable opinion, and it's definitely worthwhile having them through there. So.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. If it's a trusted, construction person or something that the buyers want to hear their opinion, I guess that makes sense. We're doing the same thing. I mean, we're only allowed to show the property to 2 people plus myself at this time. But again, if they want a family member through, we can bring them through, and we'll just do a separate appointment in that case from our part of things. So in terms of home inspections, obviously realtors, we highly recommend them. It's always good to have that extra set of eyes. You're trained in this. You see more homes as far as inspections go than I do, obviously. There's also people that touch on home pre-inspections, and I know there's a lot of realtors starting to use that, myself included, with some clients. What are your thoughts on pre-inspections prior to even listing a property?
Well, I mean, when it comes to a home inspection, what is found, you're either going to find it on the front end with a pre-inspection, or you're going to find it on the back end with the inspection after an offer has been made here. So either way, things are going to come to the open. So it's a question of either being proactive or reactive when it comes to dealing with potential concerns or problems with the home that could affect the sale of that home. So yeah, It's definitely something I would definitely encourage people to take advantage of.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as realtors, we've all been in the situation where there's been a home inspection and there's been a bit of a surprise after the fact. So, either something has to be negotiated or the buyer decides to walk away or something like that. So obviously the pre-inspection is perfect to try to get rid of those surprises, where the seller can take care of things, do some repairs, do what's required to get their home in 100% shape prior to even listing the property.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as far as inspections go, obviously Regina, we have some fairly specific scenarios with our soil conditions, with concrete foundation scenarios, this and that. What's kind of the most important thing that you feel in terms of discussing with your buyers for inspections? Obviously, there's many little things, but what are the biggest things that you find a concern?
Well, because of Regina and our heavy clay soils, foundations is always front and center. Um, yeah, I mean, once houses start to get to that year 40, year 50 mark, if they've seen some neglect when it comes to water management on the outside of the house, that's in terms of eavesdrops and grading, is quite likely that we're going to be talking about some type of structural issue of the house, whether or not the, maybe the wall's starting to crack and push in a little bit, the basement floor slab heaving up. Again, a very common conversation I'm going to have with buyers there on houses from that age. And then beyond that, it's all that's behind the walls. It's getting into these older houses and establishing things that a lot of buyers don't think about when they're putting an offer on the house, like what type of wiring is it? Is it aluminum? What does aluminum mean? Should I be concerned sticking with wiring? I mean, knob and tube wiring, cast iron plumbing hidden in the walls. Again, you can't see everything during a home inspection. It's just a visual inspection, but you can get a good sense as to what's back there, even if you can't necessarily put your eyes on it. So again, it's those things behind the walls that aren't relevant when you're thinking about paint colors and furniture layouts when you're buying a house.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously paint colors and cabinets and everything else are easy for everyone to see, but bringing someone like you in as a professional is extremely important for that extra set of eyes, as you stated, for the specifics with wiring and stuff like that. So, you touched on the walkthrough in terms of with COVID, but as far as when a client meets with you for the final walkthrough, generally the rule of thumb is I'll let you in the door, or you'll let yourself in. You'll do your inspection 2.5, 3 hours normally, from what I've experienced, and then the buyer will meet you there. When I've used you, as you know, I generally 100% try to be there with the buyer, because I want to be there to hear what is said about the home as well. That's just my professional practice. But in terms of guiding the buyer, what can they expect? I know you always provide them with a nice thick book of your findings. Just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so the inspection is done with me in the home on my own, typically. The report is written on site and printed out on site. So when the buyer shows up, there's on average usually about a 35 page report they're waiting for them. What I like to do is be a little bit more visual when I'm taking a buyer through the house. So I use the report as little as I can. And I usually start, say, in the basement with the mechanical systems, and we just work our way room by room through the whole house, discussing everything that's in the report, but as we're standing right in front of stuff here. So it's an opportunity to have a more visual experience within the home. And then the report's something that the buyers could read after the inspection, because you certainly don't expect a buyer to absorb 50 different conversations. You're having one right after the other.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, and again, I'm usually there to try to, not necessarily offset any major issues, because obviously with a major issue, I don't want my buyer buying that home. But especially with first-time buyers, they're usually very nervous. And I know with our discussions in the past, I think you're very good with kind of mellowing out that concern a little bit, cushioning the blow, as they say, just to make the first time buyer a little more comfortable that a home of this age, etc., this is perfectly normal. If it's a fairly minor issue, which is always nice as well. So with that being said, I know you're a busy guy, so I'm going to let you go. Is there anything else you kind of wanted to touch on or pass on? I mean, obviously, first of all, my recommendation is home inspections are well worth the money to have you in there as a professional. But anything else you'd like to touch on?
No, I think you've got a good idea of what home inspections are about for your clients, and yeah, I look forward to meeting them in the future.
Perfect. Well, Ryan, thanks a lot. I'm going to put your contact information and your website and everything in the description below, so people can reach out to you. Again, if you're thinking about selling a home, feel free to get in touch with me, and I can put you in touch with Ryan, and we'll do that pre-inspection for you. Other than that, Ryan, have yourself a great day, and thanks again.
Thank you.